Fred Armisen recalls getting Dave Grohl to drum in Punk Band Reunion on SNL. Fred Armisen recalls how Saturday Night Live helped shape his musical taste and led him to create one of his own great sketches, Band Reunion at the Wedding, in a new exclusive clip from Questlove's upcoming documentary, Ladies and Gentlemen, 50 Years of SNL Music. SNL was such a huge part of my musical taste, Armisen says at the top of the clip. Not just that I liked the bands that were on there, but it influenced the way I wanted to make art. And Band Reunion at the Wedding is a very personal sketch for me. The original sketch aired back in February 2010, on an episode hosted by Ashton Kutcher and featuring musical guests Them Crooked Vultures. The premise is simple. A proud dad gets his old band back together to play a song at his daughter's wedding, only for the group to bash out an early 80s-style hardcore song, replete with diatribes about Ronald Reagan and white picket fences, all while destroying the venue. "We're crisis of conformity, thank you," Armisen deadpans after the song, while all of, well, at least some of, the wedding attendees stand up and cheer. In the new Ladies and Gentlemen clip, Armisen remembers how the sketch came together. He enlisted Bill Hader to play bass, Kutcher to play guitar, and luckily, with Dave Grohl already around to play with Them Crooked Vultures, they had the perfect drummer available. "I didn't have to explain anything," Armisen says of Grohl. "He comes from that music." Ladies and Gentlemen, 50 Years of SNL Music is set to premiere next Monday, Jan. 27. The massive 3-hour feature will dig into SNL's most famous music-based sketches and monumental live performances, featuring interviews with past musical guests, cast members, writers, and producers to examine the show's musical legacy. The film will feature interviews with artists like Dua Lipa, Mick Jagger, Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, Daryl, DMC, McDaniels, and Jack White. Near the end of the episode, when Mr. Milchick visits Mark at home in the hopes of convincing him to keep working at Lumen, the company delegate is armed with offers. He tosses out a 20% raise before Mark can even answer whether he's happy with his current salary. He throws in regular wellness checks from independent organizations to make sure the innies are well taken care of. And then he pulls out the big guns, Gemma. Recalling Mark's initial job interview, Mr. Milchick reminds him how he felt back then. "You said since she died, every day feels like a year. That you felt like you were choking on her ghost. Do you still feel that way, Mr. Scout? Honestly, if Rickon died and his body was burned, I would be sad for you but I wouldn't be affected," Mark says, spitting his sister's word back at her. "This is obscene. I just want to be sure," Devon says. "I am sure," Mark shouts, before walking out of the diner. But that certainty, driven by common sense, time, and emotional self-preservation, has been shaken by the faint glimmer of hope from his innie's desperate cries. Mark, for as long as we've known him, is a desperate man. His grief has driven him to desperate, destructive decisions before, like the severance procedure itself, and now it's pushing him toward hope. If there's any chance he could reunite with his wife, even when it seems utterly impossible, he's going to cling to it. He has to, whether he wants to or not. Then that burgeoning little flame of hope bursts out. He can't stop himself. She's leaving, and he has to ask before she's gone, even if it doesn't make any sense. "Do you know something about Gemma?" Mark says. Ms. Cobble lets out a shaking breath. She looks down, and that's enough. By the time she gathers herself and drives off in a noisy huff, Mark has seen what he needs to see. She didn't laugh at his question. She didn't get cute or condescending. She looked guilty.